Hey guys, welcome back to Seller's Session. Today I'm joined by Ritu. Bit of a special session for you today. We're going to be going through some slides. Welcome to the show. Do you want to give a little bit of background on yourself? And obviously a lot of people know you are already. And then and tell us what we're covering today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me, Danny. So I am the CEO of PPC Ninja, and we are an advertising agency, and we serve 7, 8, and 9-figure sellers. And we also have our own PPC automation software, also by the name of PPC Ninja. And I live in Canada. I am a Canadian citizen, and I've been in many countries of the world, including Japan for 17 years. And right now, actually, I'm joining you live from Tokyo. It's
Excellent.
2 a.m.
Wow.
in
And
the morning.
so you had a nap, didn't you, before you jumped on?
I
So the
did.
jet lag hitting you. Yeah,
Yes, I did.
excellent.
But I'm in great spirits, so I'm really looking forward to this.
All right, you ready? Should we go?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, let me just take us off the screen, and the floor is yours.
Okay, awesome. So I think it's, on everybody's mind, AI is, right? I've been involved with AI in kind of many ways since about like the beginning, almost like 2 years ago. I've come to adopt AI as an early adopter, and I think that the switch has been turned on and there's no turning back off anymore. And so the best thing we can do is to embrace it and move forward and actually start using AI to our advantage. And my focus today will be real world AI, and that's basically things that I use myself. It's not just those kind of flashy, oh, look at this, look at that, this is so cool, and that kind of stuff. So I'm basically talking about stuff that is grounded in use cases, things that I use myself. And that's what I'm about to share with you, how we use it to drive business success. So at our agency, we use AI for a lot of things, and some of the things that we use AI for have saved us over 500 hours each month. And this includes things that have been already kind of incorporated into our SOPs and productivity improvements because of automation that we've created with the help of AI. There's a whole lot of things that have helped me save at least 500 hours each month, and you can just multiply that with your hourly rate and see how much that comes to in terms of cost savings. Um, so I'm actually going to touch on a few of these. I've categorized these into like four headings. So I'm going to be talking about how we use it for creatives, for listings, for coding. And by the way, I am an engineer, but I do not identify as a programmer or a coder, but I've been using this extensively for coding. And that's one of the amazing things with LLMs is that they can understand your descriptions and convert them into code really, really efficiently. So coding has been huge on my list of things that we're doing at the agency. And then finally, productivity. There's so many different ways in which you can be hyper productive with AI. And I do believe that we have access to an infinite number of employees for free. I mean, yes, you pay the basic $20 a month or whatever it is, but essentially that's unlocking the path to tapping into unlimited employees. You just need to have the creativity and the willingness to use them for growing your business. And I think those descriptions of like 3-person unicorn companies with the help of LLMs isn't inaccurate. I think that's going to happen. And I think that if we just have the right attitude and the right awareness of AI, we can all get there if we really want to. So let's dive into some real use cases with starting with creatives, and I'm going to show you some examples, but essentially I'm going to dive into actual examples that we use. So let me use the first, image creation example here. What you see on the screen is something that it looks like a very pretty kind of image for a listing, right? And this image was actually assembled with the help of AI. And the reason why I emphasized on the word assembled is because I know that a lot of people have had frustrations with trying to get the images that they create with AI to look perfect, or portray the elements of their products accurately, right? So that's an important piece, right? Making sure that your product shows up accurately within the AI scene. So how did I achieve this image, right? It's got the product, which is a planter. It's got flowers, it's got the right setting, and it's got a nice message on top. Um, let me just show you how this works. So I essentially have assembled that image with the help of four different elements, right? So the first one is the background, and this background has been generated with the help of AI. So as you can see here, this is an AI background which was developed with Canva AI, and I described it as a garden scene with bokeh effect, and that's just like a little bit of fuzzing out, or a kind of defocusing of a background so that the foreground can pop. I have these flowers that were generated by AI. It was part of the background, but I was able to detach them again with the help of Canva AI. And I was able to just hone in on those and make them sit on top of my product. And then I generated uh, the text, which was also created with Canva. So this is a four-part assembly, which basically resulted in something like this, right? So this is how you can actually get to the effect that you're looking for by thinking about your final product as an assembly of different layers, right? Just like you have the photoshops of the world that created this concept of layers. You can basically do layers and use AI to fit into one of those layers, or more than one of those layers, till you get the final product. So just remember that this is the concept that I'm going to use over and over again. I'm not trying to make AI do the perfect everything A to Z. It's always going to be one of the layers of anything I do, whether it's writing something, or putting together some code, or creating an image like this, etc. So that's the basic idea, and I wanted to share that with you because it's important. If you can just copy that from me, it would be the entire message, right? So let's keep moving, give you some more examples. So here is another example of a layered concept where I created three different Amazon posts. So posts are, this free way of getting Amazon to kind of give you space on all kinds of places within your own product detail page, or other product detail pages of your competitors. All you need to be able to take advantage of posts is to upload images, just square images or any kind of layout, and then just place your product on top of certain backgrounds, right? And this is easily created the same way. You just describe beautiful backgrounds, like if they're abstracts, if they use certain color schemes, you can simply use your products as inspiration to create those background, and then slap on your product as a layer. So it works beautifully. Let me show you some image transformations that you can achieve with the help of AI. So here is one that I used with Canva Magic Media. So Canva's got like 200 plus apps within it. You may not realize, but Canva has a large collection of AI tools or apps that are built into it. Now you can only access them from the pro version, The pro version costs me and my team only $30 a month, so totally worth it. Just totally worth it. So this tool is called Magic Media. All it does is uses your text to generate beautiful background. So I used this background for this product and then just connected them together. Here's another tool from Canva that is again very useful. This is a magic eraser. So let's say you have images that have certain elements that maybe you don't want, or you want to repurpose your image for certain other things, maybe put a different text on top or something else on top. So it will help you detach this layer or clean it up, and it will reimagine whatever was behind that area, and it'll kind of fill in the gaps for you, and that gives you another starting point like this one on the right. So really great way of repurposing your images for all kinds of things. Here is another very cool use case of AI where it can grow something that's missing from your image. So, like as you can see here, this image on top, the woman's face is kind of truncated. So is her hand, and she's somewhere, but you can't see where that is. So you use this tool called Magic Expand, and so what that does is it takes that image and it analyzes everything about it, and it knows that there's something missing, and it grows that thing magically and gives you the expanded version. So this is the final version, and so this is another way you could repurpose images that may not have served a purpose, but now you can by expanding it out. You can also expand more than a square. You could expand out like the whole entire landscape, and it will fill in all kinds of things in the background. Now, there are more sophisticated tools to do it, not Canva, but let's say Adobe has a bunch of AI tools, Firefly, and some others that can, help do the same exact thing that I'm showing. However, you need those skills. You need to know how to use Adobe. You need to know how to process layers, and not everybody can do it. So I prefer to use a more kind of everyday tool like Canva, but use some of their paid features to get access to these amazing tools that are sitting in that collection of 200 plus apps. Another thing you can do is use ChatGPT directly to generate high quality images. And I'm going to share some examples. So, for example, here I picked this image from one of the products. So let's assume this is your competitor, right? And you like this particular image. This is it's just showing you lip gloss or lipstick in 9 different shades, right? And so essentially what you're doing is you are just copying this image, and then you want to paste that into ChatGPT and say, create an image like this one or just like this one. And lo and behold, like within a second, it will just give you something that looks like this, and you can use it in your listings. Now, you can go ahead and do some editing after the fact. Like, let's say the color of the lips isn't quite the way you want it. It's a little different shade, etc. You can then go and use one of Canva's other tools that actually helps you replace the color of certain objects. You can kind of fine trace them and then just say, replace this color to shade of blah blah blah. You can even give it a hex code, which is the numeric codification of not numeric, it's an alphanumeric codification of your colors on browsers, etc. So you can do all those cool things again with Canva. Here's another thing that I created with ChatGPT. So the original image looks like this. It has like a bottle of honey, a glass of orange juice, and a sandwich or a toast with some thick layer of cream cheese and some pistachios on top. And so that's my original image. And I said to ChatGPT to create one just like this, and it created something beautiful. Like it just looks gorgeous. I don't know if Danny, you can see this or or want to comment on. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks right. It
I
it,
tell
it
you what,
kind
I
of
was I tell you what I was doing. I was letting you run, and in
Yeah.
the background, I'm in Canva looking at a
Yeah.
load of different apps because I was
Oh
like,
my.
oh, okay. And
Yeah.
I don't, I rarely use the app store in Canva, and there's certain
Yes.
apps I'm looking for. So I am here,
Yes.
I am looking at this, but
Okay.
as you're
Awesome.
doing it, I'm trying
Yes.
things in the background because you're presenting just for transparency. So
Yes.
I am here.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so this is all this is really amazing. It's fun, it saves time, and you can get things done very quickly. Like, you don't have to go through your usual channels of looking for a graphics designer, going to Upwork, or doing any of that. There's so many things that are very within your reach, or the reach of your internal teams or your VAs. They can do this stuff if you just give them access to these ideas. So that was a little bit on the creatives, right? I wanted to give you guys a taste of all the kinds of things that are possible. Now, I didn't touch video at all, but that's another huge area, and I'm still dabbling in it. Reason is that I'm still trying to find continuity between the avatar or the object that I'm trying to make sure that it's part of every scene. I'm still experimenting with that, so I haven't really shared any examples, but all of the examples that I've run are pretty close to where I want them to be. So I would say 95%, close to the end result. And I've used a lot of apps like CapCut or Capwing. There's just so many that you can choose from these days, and also there's more advanced tools that you can pay a little bit extra. Runway ML, Luma Labs AI. There's just so many that one loses track of these things. So I actually have an email thread to myself. Every time I find a cool app, I just drop it in there and keep replying to myself. So it's kind of building up now with all these really cool tools. Plus, I forgot to mention it, but I also run an AI for e-commerce newsletter, and that goes out every week. And so, I'm constantly on the lookout for like new tools, new ideas, new ways of doing things that can be super interesting and useful for the e-commerce community, which I'm sharing like weekly. Anyway, let's move on to the next section, and this one is a short one. Basically, I am using AI for listing improvements, listing creation, even, and I am sharing just 3 apps that can pretty much help you, do the whole thing. So, and they're free. So the first one is called Listify AI, and I have provided the GPT. It's actually a custom GPT that was put together by someone named Andrew Erickson, and this one basically allows you to kind of describe your product in very few words, and then it just gives you a full-blown listing that is designed in the style of Amazon, right? So it's got the right bullet points and so on. So this is really, really useful. As you can see, they've already got like 4.2 star ratings and I think it's a 1K plus conversations on this app that you can kind of try out. The second one is something that I created. It's called the Amazon TOS compliant bullet points cleanup. And the reason why I created this GPT was because I think about 4 or maybe 4 months ago, Amazon said that you may not anymore use emojis, you cannot use any special characters, you cannot use all caps. Yeah, I think that was August, mid-August, I remember. So everybody was like scrambling to clean up their bullet points, right? Because the style that we're so familiar with is the all caps bullet point header followed by a bunch of descriptions, etc. But that bullet point format has changed, and you can't really use certain things. Plus, they are very strict now about certain words that they don't like you can't say eco-friendly and so on. So this GPT was actually created using Amazon's guidelines on their terms of service for bullet points. And so what this GPT does is that essentially you will upload your bullet points, and then it will try to keep all of the words intact. That was the main thing here. The way I trained this GPT was basically to say, hey, don't completely rewrite it, because I don't want your words. I want my kind of very important SEO rich words that I've researched from all kinds of tools, because I want my search volume and I want my ranking juice and all that good stuff. So I don't want you to remove any words. I just want you to clean it up and make it compliant. So please tell me what you have removed and replaced in uh, you know in the new version. So it does exactly that. It basically does a kind of cleanup and makes it TOS compliant. And at the end, it gives you a little summary that says, these are the words I changed, so that you're fully aware of what was removed. Because otherwise, you'll have to kind of do the hard work of trying to figure out what was before and what the new version is, etc., etc. So this is another really useful app or GPT. And then the last one is called Variationizer, and this is by Matt Costin from Product Opinion. This is one of their tools. Basically, this allows you to festify your listings. What this means is that you can actually add certain AI elements to your images, and they become ready for the festive season. So you can kind of put on bows and ribbons and Christmas trees and things like that on your listing, on your images, in very clever ways. So like this is the main image, and what they have here is the ability to add a little bow on top of it, like a red gift kind of thing, onto the image itself. And I don't know about you, Danny, but I've seen a lot of people using their hero images in creative ways that are quite different from what we've been used to seeing in the past. Like they've started making their images, their packaging look very pretty, and they may not be the actual packaging. They may not actually come with a bow or ribbon, but they're using it in a way to improve the click-through rate. That's a very important
Yeah.
metric for giving that signal, right, to
Yeah,
Amazon.
absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the things we've got to learn as a community, and I'm talking from a design perspective. So Canva's amazing, right? And if you're not a designer and you need a fast tool, anyone can learn Canva and it gets you part of the way there. One of the things that I would always add in there as well, always upscale your images, because it improves the quality. When you A/B the images, you'll see a big difference if your image is low resolution. That's the third thing. The second thing that people miss, if you imagine you want something, there's that mix between shout outs, swing tags, add a bit of fruit, like all the trendy stuff that is common practices. The one thing I
Yes.
would really start to develop your skills on is reflections and drop shadows, because people think it's pop when you retouch and you oversaturate. You want an image to pop. Have a look at the depth of an image if you can get the drop shadow right or the reflection. And normally you do that in Photoshop. And there's a little thing that we discovered only just recently for main images. Use Leonardo. So imagine you've got an image, you lay it out as you would. We put it through Leonardo. And then Leonardo creates phenomenal drop shadow stroke reflections. Okay.
Love
And then
it.
what we end up doing is we then replace, we take it to Photoshop. We take out Leonardo's version, right, of the main image, but then keep all the reflections, which would spend hours doing in Photoshop. And it looks phenomenal on the right products. So if there's one thing I would add for people to, if you want your images to pop, don't just think about color, think about perspective. Like some people throw things into images and they're not even in perspective with the rest of the image or the direction it's facing. So it can make it look cheap. And if you can spend a bit of time focusing on drop shadows and reflections, it's like real photography then. That's the idea,
Love
right? So you want to be able to mimic real life. If you were doing a premium product and you stick a load of swing tags and a load of fruit all over it, which is not a problem, your market might go, I'm not paying $40 for that when everything is $20. But if they look at that image and it's been upscaled and it looks like it's done in a photography studio, and you see this beautiful feathered reflection across the floor, looks natural. That's what
Yes.
makes things expensive. Creating space makes things look beautiful if you've got the eye and the touch for it.
Love it, love it. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Leonardo. Yeah, I've used that as well. I mean, it's a great tool. It's a really amazing tool. It's got a lot more, but I love this use case, and I'm gonna steal that, Danny.
Yeah,
It's really,
everyone's
really
welcome
cool.
to. This is the thing, is
So cool.
it's you can still use AI for certain
Yeah.
things. You know, like
Yes.
we're at a stage where some people use AI to think they replace everything. Right. So
Yeah.
let's look at something like No LM. You can create a radio show. So you can
Mm-hmm.
put that on YouTube, but there's no face and it's got an accent and everything, but it's not you. But you can use Descript. Like I use Descript, and I can, like, after this show, I will run this through Descript, and I won't use their tool to I won't use their option to generate the clips, because AI is poor at doing two things. One is generating the clips because they don't know where the hooks are. Only the human knows that, to really
Right.
pinpoint that. And most tools, once they've created the clips, they don't give you the opportunity to edit that clip. You have to generate
Yes.
again. The great thing about Descript is about $30 a month. What I tend to do is I take the whole thing into Descript. I then I increase the volume, and then I end up doing, like, you can shorten the word gaps, and you can remove retakes and stuff. That's where AI is really good over a 30-40 minute video, right? So it gets rid of
Yes.
all of those bits for you. And then I will put on some compression to make it a bit louder so that it sounds compressed together. So when I speak and you speak, we're at the same levels, and they're preset settings. Okay. And then I might add a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of reverb to make it a little bit more natural, so it sounds like we're both in the same room. Okay. It sounds
Yes.
complicated, but these are all very simple presets. Here's where the magic happens. Because it's almost like what you see is what you get. You go to where the text area is, you find the hook, that 15 seconds or so that you want, you highlight it, you right click, and it creates a new project. Now, when it does that, you've already edited, you've compressed, you're EQ'd, you set your volumes. And so I can go through that, and I don't even have to export and download. The magic of AI is that I can do this 30-minute show with you, and in an hour, I can pop out with captions an edited video version of this to go out on the podcast, so it's truncated. I could generate 15 reels out of it, and I can download, save the transcripts. And do you see where I'm going? So it speeds
Yeah.
up all of those things. Rather than replacing everything, it does the grunt work for you. You know, like
Yes.
for me to sit down and just edit this podcast without this script takes me twice as long. Why? Because if it's an hour-long podcast, it's going to take me an hour to review and edit at the same time.
Right.
But when I
Yep.
press the button, remove retakes, cut the gaps between, like air gaps and the breaks in between, it's almost perfect if you set the right threshold. And that's done in seconds for me. Then I add the captions, the compression, EQ, go through, go, that's a take, new project, new project, new project, and it copies all the settings over. So that's a fast way of doing reels, because it becomes expensive for your business. If you're spending money on generating reels, and then if you use what's called a clipper, you're then sending back revisions to that clipper. No, don't like that. Change that, change this, change that, change that. And then you're still paying them and using up your time. So I think
Right.
coming back on track is, like, I love AI for certain things, but we could do an AI podcast, Rita, and you're not there. We just show your slides and you've typed it, but you lose the magic. They need you as the human, the personality involved. But then we use AI for all the other things, for the grunt work, as I like to call it. Do you see what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, no, I think that was a really great use case, the one that you just outlined. I think that's amazing. And you do this all day long, right? You've been what
Well, I've
is
got
this
businesses to run as well, but yeah, I come from an engineering background in audio engineering. So the
audio
difference
engineering?
from
Oh,
sound to video, yeah. So I have the
right.
transferable skills to do that.
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
can teach people Descript in 2
Yes.
hours.
Right.
And if they know, if I teach them, go do this, do this, do this, they'll get it. And because it's so easy. But then if you go and use the general, editing softwares, they're much more difficult to use.
Mm,
Whereas Descript is very simple because it's like a user interface to, a
right.
Wixie. What you see is what you get, because you're
Yes.
editing. Although you've got an image on the screen and it's video, you're editing the text. So you go remove
Yes.
that, you highlight and delete. So it's like editing a Word document, but it's doing it to the video as well.
Yes, yes, I love that. Yeah, I really love that. And it all goes back to we each of us have certain skills and certain experiences and a certain type of background. And with AI, we can actually accelerate what we already know and take it to the next level. So, like, you're an engineer, I'm an engineer. We both come from slightly different engineering backgrounds, but we have a grounding in like the basics. And now with AI we can just accelerate our productivity and just do so much more, right? So I just think we're living in super exciting times, and just so happy to be here.
And
Speaking of
anyway,
which,
I'll let you get
yeah,
back to it. But then this is the
yeah, no,
thing
great.
I want to say
Yes,
to everyone, and you probably agree with this as well. And then we'll
yeah,
move back into the slides. It doesn't replace domain knowledge. So let me give an example. Let's say someone says, I'm going to be out of a job. In a lot of user cases, maybe so. But if you've got that domain knowledge 15, 20 years and you know how to prompt, you're going to be far superior than someone who doesn't have the domain knowledge and just
yes,
using AI to take on the action. So if
yeah,
you've got a skill set, you transfer it, and you can use the knowledge, domain knowledge that you've created over decades to do the nuances that others can't do because they don't have the domain knowledge.
totally, totally agree. Yeah, so AI plus human is going to be more powerful than anything else we've ever seen. So yeah, I'm totally with you there, and totally think the way you do as well on this topic. So yeah, so I'll move on to the next section of how I use AI, and this has been the game changer for me, coding, right? So like I said before, I have an engineering background in electronics engineering, but I'm not a programmer. Like, I don't identify as a programmer. I know how to program, but I don't do it. Like, it's not my thing. I don't in like it's not something I'm excited about or enjoy doing, etc. However, what I've seen and what I've unlocked with the help of AI is this ability to create all kinds of apps. And I've been creating these, like, I actually started creating micro tools about 2 years ago. I think that was like the first time I presented on, the $1 billion Seller Summit, and I won that, that session was basically the starting point. I was saying, here, I'm creating 10 tools with AI for you. And then I was on a mission to create 100 tools. And so I'm pretty close now. But basically, my philosophy is that if there's any task that I need to repeat 3 times or more, that's my threshold, 3 times or more, then it is a great candidate for automation. And I can use AI to create that automation where I couldn't do earlier, right? Every time I come across an idea, I'm like, oh, this looks like a good one for an app or an automation. So I'm going to take you through some examples, but basically, what I've learned over the past 2 years is that LLMs are great at translating your words into code, right? And you don't need to understand that code fully. All you need to do is to just be present when it's being generated, see if there's any errors. If there are, you take that error, throw it back at the LLM, and it'll give you another version that you can then copy and paste and then repeat that process over and over again. So that's what I've been doing. I am not spending time understanding what code is generated. I simply give it the best possible description of what I want, how I want it, and then I just see if it's working the way it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, I keep saying, hey, this is not working, that's not working, change this, change that, and then it gives me an amazing, piece of code or multiple code bases. So I'm gonna actually give you an example of one such app that I created recently, and this is like a magic thing because what I'm doing here is I'm actually saying, okay, there's four different pieces to this thing that I'm trying to generate. Essentially, I'm trying to generate an email summarizer, right? And I only want to summarize emails from certain people that I interact with frequently, and I want to make sure that I don't miss any communication that came through, right? So, what ingredients do you need for this app? You need your chat GPT, of course. You need something called Google Appscript. I don't know, Danny, if you've played with Google Appscript, but this is again free if you're using Google. If you're a Google shop, then this will be part of your Google
I used to
workspace.
use, yeah, I used to use them back in 2010, 11, 12, I think it was, for
Oh,
AdWords when they introduced scripts for automation. But
right.
I'm not very good when it comes to scripts, but I had a
No.
crack at it.
Yeah, no, so it's the same thing with me as well. Like I'm not good with AppScript. It's a flavor of JavaScript, and it's kind of straightforward if you go through it. But that's not me. So Google AppScript is the other ingredient you need for this. Then you need an OpenAI key. So what is an API key? Basically, the thing that you do with, let's say, ChatGPT on their UI, you're basically having that happen through an API. So an API is just a connector which will take your program and it's going to connect that to ChatGPT, but through this API key. So you need a key for that. Now, if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, you already have the OpenAI key. You just don't know where it is, and you can Google that or you can chat that, and you can find out where your key is hidden. So pick that up because you'll need it for this mini application creation. And then you just have your pile of emails that are kind of exploding with emails from this person and that person and so on. So for this use case, I'm just asking ChatGPT. I think the prompt is a little too small even for my eyes to read, but anyway, it's basically tasking ChatGPT with this goal of creating an email summarization system using Google Appscript and using the OpenAI's GPT-4o mini model. And basically, this system will take emails from specific individuals over the past 24 hours. And what it's going to do is it's going to take those emails, but then use ChatGPT's API to summarize their content and then generate a daily digest. And this digest basically will be sent as an HTML enabled email back to me. So I'll get one digest from my own collection of emails at the beginning of my day because a lot of my team members are in the Philippines or in other parts of the world, and I need to be able to see what they sent me the previous night without having to go through every single email, which of course I will, but at the start of the day I just want that digest, so that I don't miss anything that was communicated. So this is great for people who have large volumes of emails and large number of people that they're interacting with them with on a regular basis. So once I give ChatGPT this prompt to generate an app script, it gives me an app script that looks somewhat like what you're seeing on the screen. And obviously I don't understand what it's done, right? It's app script. I don't understand it, but there's this little copy code you know uh, button on the top right, and all you need to do is press that button and it'll be copied into memory, so into your clipboard. And now you basically go into AppScript, which I'm going to show you where it's located. It's give me one second. It's located. Oh, I think one of the slides got cut off, but anyway, it's basically located in your so in your drive, when you go into Google Drive, there is apps where you say create, like you say create a new file or a new folder or a new something. In that, under that section, it says more, and it says create Appscript. So you click on that, and then it's going to open up this uh, coding window for you, right? So don't be afraid, because you don't need to know anything other than the fact that there is like this coding window here, which they've started off something that's called a function. A function is just one piece of code that will run independently when you press the run button, right? So you basically want to delete whatever they've created for you, like the starting point of code, and replace it with what you just have in memory from your ChatGPT generated code, right? Just copy that and paste it into here, into the app script. And then you just save it, which is there's a save button right on top, and then you run it. And when you run it, it's just going to do whatever you described, and explain to it. And so this is what I get. So let's say I have 3 team members, and I've given it the instruction to give me a digest from these 3 people. So it emailed me this digest, and this is coming from my email. I've just screenshot that, and it says from Sharon, there was this email, and then this email, and then uh, little snippets of all the emails that were sent by Sharon in one digest, and then following that it was the next person and the next person. So I got this digest, and this works great because it saves me so much time, and I won't miss something important. Oh, here it comes. Now, it was out of order, sorry. So this is what it looks like. Drive, more, and then Google Apps Script. That's where you'll find your Google Apps Script. You can also find Google Apps Script within each of the Google products like Google Docs or Google Sheets. If you're in any of those, you can also go to the top and say extensions, and from there you can choose Google Apps Script, and it can work from there as well. So any of these 3 places are good. And some more use cases of this the example that I just shared. Let's say you want a daily digest of all the emails that have any suspension related stuff in the past week, for example, because those are important ones you don't want to miss. So the keywords to look for are suspended or suppressed, or you basically define those words and say those words to ChatGPT and say that look out for these words, and then it's just going to write code to pick those words up, right? Or let's say any words in Amazon emails where the word fee shows up, because that is basically saying that some fee went up, right? So you can pick up a lot of those words, or summarize all your unread emails where you are tagged, right? Where the at your name is tagged. Or let's say all emails in the past year from a specific vendor. You want to just have all of that in a digest. Or let's say all emails from where a particular term was mentioned. You want to collate all of that and give it to you in a digest. You can now do this very easily with this kind of code, and I just showed it to you. Here's another one I just created. Now I used Claude for this. Danny, I don't know if you've used Claude, but Claude is really great for programming, right? And so
Yeah.
Claude Anthropic has this new thing called artifacts. And
Mm.
what it does is that it can help you create mini apps on the fly. So I actually created a time zone calculator as a sample here. So let me just show you what it looks like. It looks like this. So the screen is a little tiny, but you can see on the left side, I have the instruction to Claude. I basically said, hey, I have team members in different time zones, and I want to be able to see in one live HTML page, I want to be able to see all of their time zones, right, all at once in live as of right now, right? So it generated this code for me, which was simply HTML code. And I downloaded that, and then I actually just double clicked on that file and it opens in your browser. And where is it hosted? It's hosted on your laptop or your computer. It doesn't need any fancy hosting. It doesn't need to be part of any fancy system. It's just a file with a .html extension. So you just double click on that and then it opens up and it gives you this thing. I wish I could show you. I mean, I have it open right now. Is it okay, Danny, if I just show that? Let's see if it shows up. So
Okay, so we've lost Ritu for a moment. She'll be back on in a moment. I've just been going through on Canva as she's been running through the presentation to pull up some options. There's a app in the store called Easy Reflections. So if you want to add reflections to your images, then that's an option in the paid version of Canva to check out. But we'll bring Ritu back. How are we doing?
yes, sorry, I
We
did the
lost you
silly.
for a moment.
Yes, yeah, I just ended up. Yeah, do you see my
I
screen?
was just explaining to the audience while you're off. There's a app in the App Store called Easy Reflections. While you were doing the presentation, I thought I'd bring that up. So go into Canva, do a search, and then it's a bit tricky. You've got to understand how perspective is and where to place it, and then use some opacity. But you can get a reflection of the product to make it look more expensive. Use the upscaler in there. I'm just going to see if there's any standardized retouching. So it's something that, like a lot of apps have filters, and the filters are shit. You can't put them on product images. But if there's ways to doing retouching images that give a light pop, then you add the reflection and you're moving everything around on the canvas, then you'll get something more lifelike, like a real image that you're not just relying on call outs and swing tags and boxes. And do you understand? Which is all good, but you want to take it to the next level. You can't always follow a trend. We go back to original photography. If you understand about sound, it's science. If you understand about lighting, it's science, right? And now with design programs and stuff like that, if you understand a bit more about that as well, then the products that you do and you put on canvas, you can bring them to life a little bit more if you understand some of the basic foundations.
Right, yeah.
So I brought your slides back up on screen.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so I was trying to show the time zone calculator, but I ended up overwriting this browser session. Silly of me. Anyway, so this thing that I created was like, it literally took me 5 minutes to say that I want this app, and it just created this local app on my laptop, which I can just double click, and now I've just saved it to my browser because it's an HTML. So like this, you can actually create all kinds of apps that tell you all kinds of things. So this one has some team members' names and their cities, and then it just tells you what time it is in their time zone, and it also says whether it's nighttime, daytime, or evening or whatever, so that in one shot you can see where everybody's at, right? And I know a lot of us have like people in different parts of the world. The world is now kind of flat, and we've got like so many people working for us remotely, and that's going to be more and more the case. Like, I don't think in another 5 or 10 years, when everything will be so AI enabled, that we'll need to go into an office. Even like, everybody would probably be part of this huge gig economy, where each person bringing in their special skill set along with the AI, like, so skill plus AI coming in to work. And so you'll need a lot of like creative ideas to be able to create these sorts of little tools and apps to help you figure out what's happening everywhere, kind of thing. I'm going to show you one more example of coding that is a more simpler kind of coding. It's not Appscript, but it is just coding with Google Sheets. So here's a heat map that we created using ChatGPT for basically to figure out day parting, like what hour of day do we have the best conversions on Amazon, which hour of the day do we have the highest spend or the highest sales, things like that. So for this, you first of all you need the sponsored product hourly data, and this can be procured from your reports on Amazon. So all you need to do is go into your campaigns view, right? And then as soon as you pick campaigns, it's going to unlock this section at the bottom that says hourly. So you click on that, and essentially you'll get an hour by hour, uh, you know, uh, uh, CSV or Excel file that has all of your data on Amazon for sponsored products. Then what you do is you take that file that you just downloaded, right? And you put it into ChatGPT. Just upload it. There's an upload feature, right? And you just put it there. Um, and then you ask ChatGPT something like this. So I said, this is hour of day for my campaigns on Amazon. This is sheet one of my Google Sheet. Basically, I'm going to upload this to my Google Sheet. And I would like to build out an hour of day and day of week heat map on the second sheet for spend, like spend on different times of the day, right? And my rows should be numbered 0 to 24 because those are going to be hours. And my columns should be days of the week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to Sunday. And give me Google Sheets formulas that I can simply so that I can simply swap out my sheet one when the next data refreshes, and I can just use this sheet over and over again to do this calculation of day parting, like which hours of day are the best for my ads and which are not. So it gives me this gigantic formula. As you can see, it's an array formula, and it does all kinds of things. Like, this is not something I can create, right? I use Google Sheets all the time. I use formulas in Google Sheets, but I could never come up with a formula like this. So it did that for me. And then this is the final product. This is how this was arranged. I simply copied the formula and just applied it into the cells that it told me. It told me put this formula in cells A2 through A whatever, and then put these formulas in the rows, and then put these formulas in the cells, and put these formulas in the aggregate rows. And so this is how I got my day parting heat map, because I also did conditional formatting. So again, this concept of layers. So these are all the different layers that I need to build an app like this. I need to be able to tell ChatGPT what I need in terms of formulas. So I'm only using ChatGPT here for formulas, right? And then the other layer is getting the conditional formatting, which all of us know how to do conditional formatting on Google Sheets. At least people who use Google Sheets frequently can easily do this. And you just have like the depth. You can see these are the hours where you have the most usage or spend. So anyway, so that was my section on coding and some coding related ideas. And now this final section is on productivity tips. And this is more of a, how to get the most out of LLMs, right? That's basically what these AI productivity tips are all about. So the first tip I have for you guys is you want to leverage well-known concepts for faster results. So what I mean by that is, because these LLMs have studied the internet, they've got all the concepts, all the words that describe those concepts in their vocabulary. You can actually access those without having to describe them further. So don't waste your time describing things like the five whys or the root cause analysis or things like tacos, ACOS. It understands, right? If you ask it what is tacos, you'll get the answer, right? So use well-known concepts for faster results. You can also use concepts that are harder and less well known. Like recently, I used this concept of Bloom's taxonomy because I was creating some some quizzes for my team. So I like this concept of Bloom's taxonomy, which is a pedagogical framework for assessing the skill level of people in the organization through different types of testing. So the basic testing is recall, where you just ask, what is 1 plus 1? Okay, the answer is 2. But the levels above that are, okay, if you have this and you have that, what do you think will happen next? That's a little level higher, and so on. So I used that concept of Bloom's taxonomy and said, hey, I want to create like 6 levels of you know training for my team. Here are all my trainings that I've done in the past, and I gave them transcripts from YouTube, right? That's another advanced concept where you can simply use tools like Glamp, which is what I use, to immediately download the transcripts of my own YouTube videos, and I put them into ChatGPT, into this framework, and say, hey, now use Bloom's taxonomy to come up with different levels of training for my team. So you're using a well-known concept, and then you're giving it some basic tasks, and then it generates amazing outputs, right? So that's the first step. The second one is using screenshots to communicate more effectively with AI. So what I do here is, let's say I have a spreadsheet that has a bunch of text and a bunch of numbers, etc. I can screenshot that and just dump that into ChatGPT and say, you know why is this way? So not only is it going to read your entire screenshot, but it's also going to understand it and try to figure out what each column stands for and what's happening, and then you just have that conversation with it, which is amazing. The other day, Danny, I was using it for trying to figure out whether I should sell my PayPal shares or not, because PayPal used to be really high, and the stocks have dropped since the time I bought it. I was like, should I sell it or should I not? So all I did was I went into my bank, my direct investment UI. I screenshot that whole section on PayPal with what I invested, how much I invested, what the numbers were. Now, I'm not a trader, like I'm not. I just happened to buy a bunch of based on other people's recommendations. So I screenshot that and put that screenshot into ChatGPT and said, what should I do with my PayPal shares? Should I sell it? And so it said, October 29th, it's going to come out with, they're planning to, come out with their latest shareholder report, blah, blah, blah. And based on that, you might get different da da da. Anyway, so screenshots, use them extensively. I do that all the time. Now, that's not it. You can even feed your handwritten notes to AI. Like great ideas are born on napkins. So you can actually do your hand sketches. If your handwriting is even like legible to like 80% of the population, you should be fine. AI would be able to recognize what what each of the words mean. And I recently used this for some flowcharts that I had drawn out on paper, and I screenshot that and I put that into ChatGPT and said, what's happening here? How should I change this? How should I convert this into a diagram? So it does that, also converts it into mermaid JS diagrams, which I can then edit after the fact. So that's another great way of using AI. Another tip I have for you is document everything, and then also get your team involved, right? So documenting everything that you're doing is really good, because you can start using those documents to enrich those documents with the help of AI. So once you have one version of something ready, you then use that as a starting point to refine it over and over again over time. So that becomes really very powerful. Instead of starting from scratch every single time with a problem and a problem statement, just keep documents, and then either through PDF or just if it's a Google Doc, you can just point to that and say, read this, and now next is I want to build on that, right? You can build on documents that are already created. So start creating that in your organization, and use that for more and more productivity. Then the next tip I have for you is don't rely on long chats, because long chats, there's a token window that gets used up when you use a chat that's going on and on and on and on, and then it starts to forget what was said in the beginning, and then it loses the plot and starts to hallucinate, right? So instead of that, do this thing of combination of the document everything and then use shorter um, chats. uh, when each time you come to a logical conclusion on something, or you've come to a good stopping point, like when we take breaks, we want to come to a good stopping point. When you think you've come to a good stopping point with your conversation, then compress that, and either download the conclusion as a a file, and then use that as a starting point in a new session. Right now, I know that at least ChatGPT has evolved to the point that it can now remember things across different chats, but that still doesn't prevent the hallucination that starts happening, because it's trying to figure out and trying to guess across different chats. So you want to be really clean with your chats and start making them shorter. And then, of course, knowing which models to use and which LLMs to use for different types of things, that's another thing. Now, this is a little advanced. It's only when you've played with a bunch of these that you'll get to the point where you can say, okay, use Claude for coding, use O1 Preview for this, and you use O1 Mini for reasoning, etc., etc. But get in the habit of paying attention to the model, right? Because you're going to have more and more of these models come out, and the older ones will, of course, drop off, but more and more come off. And then you want to be ahead of everything else, and in coming up with what needs to be done. And then finally, you want to create task chains. You don't want to just create a task and then, you know, uh, basically call it good. You want to create something that connects as a chain to another and another and another, and that's the way you will get like super apps, and super productivity. So that's all I had for you. This is a QR code that's linked to my AI for e-commerce newsletter, so feel free to sign up. It's a weekly newsletter, and hopefully you'll get some good stuff out of it. So
That was excellent. That was superb. So hopefully people took some notes on that. Again, thank you for joining us today, all the way from Tokyo at what now 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'll get this edited up and we'll get some of these out. But yeah, there's a lots of great content in there. As I said, I was just going through Canva myself while you're presenting, thinking what can sellers use in Canva. I'm not really a designer. I have a design team that work on everything. But when you understand the basic principles, so that's why I was looking through. They've got upscalers in Canva. There's two types. You've got mirror magic, you've got reflections. It's a bit tricky when you're doing reflections to the perspective and adjustments. But experiment with those two. I couldn't find anything. I'll look at it on Perplexity, but because I always like to go outside to go back in, if that makes sense. Perplexity is quite good for certain bits and pieces, as long as it's up to date, it's not hallucinating.
right.
But key things is retouching, reflections, remove backgrounds, upscale, perspective. If you understand those principles around design, when you are using Canva and you can meld all those together, then you will get your images to pop. Popping isn't just about making it as bright as possible and adding saturation in color. It's all of the little nuances that build the composite whole, But any final words before we go? I mean, we've covered a lot of ground there. There's plenty
Yeah,
of
we've
things that we can get on with.
Right, we've covered a lot of ground, and I just feel like this is the best time to be alive, and
Yeah.
I wish like more and more people can kind of jump on the bandwagon and kind of take leverage it for their advantage, because all kinds of things are going to happen, including
Mm.
bad things. But if we're informed and ahead and aware, then we'll probably be able to make the best use of it and stay safe. Yeah.
Excellent. And what's the best way that people can reach you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. My full name Ritu Java, or just catch me on social media. We also have so my email ritu@ppsinja.com if you're interested to connect about anything. So yeah, there's many ways to catch me.
Excellent, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Ritu, thank you for giving up your time. Look forward to getting you back on this show real
Thank you
soon.
so much.
Take care.
Appreciate it, Danny. Take care. Have
Bye.
a nice one. Bye.